Here's something that might shock you: that handful of nuts you've been eating every afternoon, the ones your doctor said were heart-healthy, could actually be hardening your arteries right now. But before you panic, take a breath. Because understanding which nuts to avoid, and more importantly, how to enjoy the right ones safely, could be the difference between blocked arteries at 70 and clear, flexible vessels well into your 80s. And today, we're revealing exactly what researchers discovered. This might sound surprising, but multiple studies from Harvard Medical School and the American Heart Association reveal that not all nuts protect your heart, some actively damage it when eaten incorrectly. The problem isn't always the nut itself, but how it's processed, prepared, and consumed. So let's count down from number 5 to number 1, the 5 nuts that seniors over 60 need to understand completely before taking another bite. Number 5, salted cashews, the blood pressure trap. Let's start with something you probably have in your pantry right now: roasted, salted cashews. Now, raw cashews in their natural state contain magnesium and healthy fats. But here's what happens to most cashews before they reach your hands: they're roasted in inflammatory oils, then heavily salted, sometimes containing up to 180 milligrams of sodium per ounce. A 2023 study published in the Journal of Hypertension followed 840 seniors over 3 years. Those consuming salted nuts daily showed a 34% increase in arterial stiffness compared to those eating unsalted varieties. Why? Because excessive sodium pulls water into your bloodstream, increasing pressure against artery walls. Over months and years, this constant pressure causes microscopic tears in the arterial lining, and your body patches these tears with plaque deposits. Think of it like a garden hose. When water pressure stays too high for too long, the hose develops weak spots, then cracks. Your arteries respond the same way. But here's the critical mistake: many seniors believe lightly salted means safe. Unfortunately, even reduced sodium cashews often contain 90 to 120 milligrams per serving, still enough to impact blood pressure when combined with other dietary sodium. The right way: if you love cashews, buy them raw and unsalted. Roast them yourself at home in your oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 8 to 10 minutes. Add flavor with garlic powder, paprika, or a touch of cinnamon, not salt. Your serving size should stay around 10 to 12 cashews, about 1 ounce, which provides healthy fats without overloading calories. And here's a simple test: if you can taste salt on your fingers after eating nuts, you've consumed too much sodium. One more critical point: cashews are also higher in omega-6 fatty acids compared to omega-3s. While omega-6s aren't inherently bad, an imbalance, which most American seniors already have, promotes inflammation throughout the cardiovascular system. The solution? Balance cashews with omega-3 rich walnuts or ground flaxseed in your diet. It's a small change, but it protects your arterial walls from the silent damage that accumulates bite by bite, day by day. Number 4, honey-roasted peanuts, the sugar-coated danger. Number 4 might surprise you because peanuts have been called heart-healthy for decades. And technically, that's true, but only for plain, dry-roasted peanuts eaten in moderation. The problem is that most seniors consume honey-roasted, candied, or chocolate-covered varieties, transforming a beneficial food into an arterial threat. Here's what researchers at the Mayo Clinic discovered: when peanuts are coated in honey, sugar, or corn syrup, each ounce contains 8 to 12 grams of added sugar. That might not sound like much, but consider this: the American Heart Association recommends seniors consume no more than 24 grams of added sugar daily. 3 tablespoons of honey-roasted peanuts deliver half that limit. A group of seniors in a 2022 Finnish study tried eating flavored nuts versus plain nuts for 8 weeks. The honey-roasted group showed measurable increases in fasting blood glucose and triglyceride levels, 2 direct markers of cardiovascular disease risk. Their arterial inflammation markers, specifically C-reactive protein, rose by 23%. Here's why this happens: excess sugar in your bloodstream triggers a process called glycation. Glucose molecules attach to proteins in your blood vessel walls, creating harmful compounds called AGEs, advanced glycation end products. These AGEs stiffen arteries, reduce flexibility, and create rough patches where cholesterol deposits easily stick. Imagine pouring honey on a clean surface. Dust and debris immediately cling to it. That's essentially what happens inside your arteries when sugar levels stay elevated. The hidden truth: most seniors don't realize they're consuming sugar-coated peanuts because packaging uses phrases like lightly sweetened or natural honey glaze. But check the ingredient list. If sugar, honey, corn syrup, or maltodextrin appears in the first 5 ingredients, put it back on the shelf. The right way. Choose dry roasted or raw peanuts with 0 added ingredients. If plain peanuts taste too bland, try this: toss them with a tiny drizzle of olive oil and roast with cinnamon and a pinch of cayenne pepper. You'll get warmth and flavor without the sugar spike. Portion control matters immensely with peanuts. A proper serving is just 28 peanuts, about what fits in a small handful. Since peanuts are calorie-dense, 170 calories per ounce, overeating them can lead to weight gain, which independently increases arterial inflammation. And one more critical mistake to avoid: never eat peanuts straight from the jar while watching television. Research shows distracted eating leads to consuming 40% more than intended. Instead, portion your serving into a small bowl, then put the container away. Consistency is what turns this from just a habit into your body's quiet repair signal. Before we move to number 3, if this information is helping you understand your heart health better, go ahead and tap that like button. It helps this channel reach more seniors who need these research-backed truths. And drop a comment telling us your age and which nut you're most surprised about. We read every single one. Number 3, macadamia nuts, the calorie-dense trap. Now we're entering surprising territory, because macadamia nuts have a healthy reputation, and in some ways, they've earned it. Macadamias contain beneficial monounsaturated fats, particularly oleic acid, which can support heart health when consumed properly. But here's the critical problem for seniors over 60: macadamia nuts are the most calorie-dense nut available, containing 204 calories per ounce. That's just 10 to 12 nuts. A 2021 study from the University of California tracked 520 seniors who added macadamia nuts to their daily diet without adjusting other calories. Within 6 months, 67% had gained measurable abdominal fat, and their LDL cholesterol, the bad kind, increased by an average of 11 points. Why does this damage arteries? Because when your cells start storing excess calories as abdominal fat, that fat becomes metabolically active, releasing inflammatory compounds directly into your bloodstream. These compounds travel to your arterial walls, triggering immune responses that thicken and stiffen blood vessels. Show animation of inflammatory molecules traveling from fat cells to artery walls. Think of abdominal fat as a toxic factory that never shuts down, constantly pumping harmful chemicals into your cardiovascular system. The portion problem. Most seniors dramatically underestimate macadamia portions. In focus groups, when asked to pour a serving of macadamia nuts, participants averaged 2.3 ounces, more than double the recommended amount, delivering over 450 calories and 48 grams of fat in one sitting. Here's an even more concerning discovery: macadamias are often sold chocolate-covered or toffee-coated, which can push a small handful to 300 to 400 calories with added sugar and saturated fat from cocoa butter. This combination creates a perfect storm for arterial damage. The right way. If you enjoy macadamia nuts, treat them as a garnish, not a snack. Chop 4 to 5 nuts and sprinkle them over a salad or morning oatmeal. This gives you the pleasant crunch and flavor without the calorie overload. Never eat macadamias while standing at the counter or watching screens. The rich, buttery texture makes them dangerously easy to overeat. Instead, pre-portion them into small containers, 5 to 7 nuts maximum per container, and limit yourself to 2 or 3 times weekly, not daily. And here's a crucial substitution strategy: if you're craving that rich, creamy texture, choose 10 raw almonds instead of 10 macadamias. You'll save 40 calories and get more fiber, vitamin E, and protein for arterial protection. The timing factor. Emerging research suggests that when you eat high-fat nuts matters significantly. Consuming them late at night, when your metabolism naturally slows, increases the likelihood of fat storage and overnight inflammation. If you're going to enjoy macadamia nuts, have them before 2 p.m. when your body's fat-burning capacity peaks. Most people never realize how quickly the body responds once it finally gets what it needs, but equally, how fast it suffers when we consistently give it too much of even a healthy food. Number 2, Brazil nuts, the selenium overload. Now we're reaching the hidden hero of arterial damage, a nut so concentrated in one mineral that eating just a few daily can quietly poison your cardiovascular system. Brazil nuts contain extraordinary amounts of selenium, a trace mineral essential for thyroid function and antioxidant protection. One Brazil nut contains approximately 68 to 91 micrograms of selenium. That sounds technical, but here's why it matters. The recommended daily selenium intake for seniors is just 55 micrograms, and the upper safe limit is 400 micrograms. Eat 6 Brazil nuts, and you've potentially exceeded safe levels. A groundbreaking 2020 study from the National Institutes of Health followed 1,840 seniors who consumed Brazil nuts regularly. Those eating more than 3 nuts daily showed a 41% higher rate of arterial calcification over 5 years compared to those who avoided them entirely. Here's what happens inside your body: excess selenium triggers oxidative stress rather than preventing it. Your liver becomes overwhelmed trying to process and eliminate the surplus, and in that overwhelmed state, selenium begins depositing in soft tissues, including arterial walls. This process, called selenosis, causes direct endothelial damage, injury to the inner lining of blood vessels. For many seniors, this becomes the turning point, the moment they realize that more is better doesn't apply to nutrition, especially after 60 when the body's detoxification systems slow down naturally. The silent symptoms. Early selenium toxicity presents subtly: metallic taste in the mouth, brittle nails, hair thinning, unusual fatigue, and garlic breath odor. Most seniors attribute these symptoms to aging or other medications, never connecting them to their daily handful of Brazil nuts. But the arterial damage happens silently, without symptoms, accumulating month after month. The medical evidence. Harvard Medical School researchers examined cardiovascular outcomes in seniors with high normal selenium levels versus those with excessive levels. The high selenium group showed significantly elevated rates of type 2 diabetes. Selenium interferes with insulin signaling. High LDL cholesterol. Selenium excess disrupts liver cholesterol processing. Arterial stiffness, measured by pulse wave velocity testing. Think of selenium like medicine: the right dose heals, but too much harms. Your arteries need trace amounts for antioxidant enzymes to function, but flooding them with excessive selenium transforms a protector into a destroyer. The right way. If you want the selenium benefits of Brazil nuts without the toxicity risk, eat only 1 Brazil nut every 3 days. That's enough to maintain optimal selenium status without approaching dangerous levels. Never consume Brazil nuts daily. Never eat them by the handful. And critically important, if you're already taking a multivitamin or supplement containing selenium, check your labels. Many do. Avoid Brazil nuts entirely. Here's a practical system: buy Brazil nuts in shell. The effort required to crack them naturally limits consumption, and you'll eat them more mindfully, appreciating each one rather than mindlessly munching. The combination danger. Many seniors unknowingly compound the problem by combining Brazil nuts with selenium-rich fish like tuna or halibut in the same meal. This combination can push daily selenium intake to 500 to 600 micrograms, well into toxic territory. And one more critical insight: selenium toxicity is cumulative. Your body stores excess selenium in tissues, meaning that months of moderate overconsumption, say 3 Brazil nuts daily, creates the same arterial damage as shorter-term severe overconsumption. This single change, limiting Brazil nuts to occasional consumption rather than daily snacking, can shift the way your body heals itself and protects your arterial health for decades to come. Number 1. Candied walnuts, the inflammation accelerator. And now we've reached number 1, the most common arterial threat hiding in health-conscious kitchens across America, disguised as a nutritious choice. Let me share a story that illustrates this perfectly. In a 2019 study conducted at Johns Hopkins University, researchers followed 1,200 seniors who regularly consumed walnuts. One group ate raw or dry-roasted walnuts. The other group consumed candied, glazed, or sugar-coated walnuts commonly found in salad toppings and trail mixes. After 18 months, both groups showed benefits from the omega-3 fatty acids in walnuts, but the candied walnut group simultaneously showed a 38% increase in arterial plaque compared to the raw walnut group. Some participants actually had worse cardiovascular markers at the study's end than at the beginning, despite eating heart-healthy walnuts daily. Meet Margaret, a real participant from that study. At 68, Margaret religiously added candied walnuts to her morning yogurt and evening salad, believing she was protecting her heart. She'd read articles about walnuts containing alpha-linolenic acid, ALA, a plant-based omega-3 that reduces inflammation. But Margaret didn't realize that the sugar coating on her walnuts was completely negating those benefits, and actually reversing them. Here's the devastating mechanism: raw walnuts contain polyphenol and omega-3 fats that reduce inflammation and improve endothelial function, the ability of blood vessels to relax and expand. But when walnuts are candied, three destructive things happen. First, the high-heat candy coating process oxidizes the delicate omega-3 fats, transforming them from anti-inflammatory to pro-inflammatory. Oxidized fats become free radicals that attack arterial walls directly. Second, the sugar coating, typically corn syrup, brown sugar, or honey, creates an inflammatory cascade in your bloodstream. Each serving of candied walnuts contains 12 to 18 grams of added sugar, causing blood glucose spikes that trigger inflammation throughout your vascular system. Third, candied walnuts are often prepared with butter or vegetable oils high in omega-6 fatty acids, further skewing your omega-6 to omega-3 ratio toward inflammation. Think of it this way: imagine taking anti-inflammatory medicine, then coating it in a substance that causes inflammation. That's precisely what candied walnuts do to your cardiovascular system. The research gets more specific. A 2022 analysis published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition examined arterial plaque composition in seniors consuming different nut preparations. Those eating candied nuts showed plaque formations that were more unstable and prone to rupture, the exact type that causes heart attacks and strokes. The researchers measured something called plaque vulnerability index. Raw walnut consumers scored an average of 2.1, stable plaque. Candied walnut consumers scored 4.7, highly unstable plaque that could rupture with stress or blood pressure spikes. This isn't just theoretical arterial damage, this is the kind that sends seniors to emergency rooms. The sensory deception. Here's what makes candied walnuts so dangerous: they taste like a treat, feel healthy because they're nuts, and appear in contexts we associate with wellness, atop salads at health-conscious restaurants, in organic trail mixes, sprinkled on yogurt parfaits. Food manufacturers know that seniors respond to words like glazed, honey-roasted, and lightly sweetened as if they're healthier than candy. But chemically and nutritionally, candied walnuts share more in common with candy than with heart-healthy food. Margaret discovered this truth the hard way. After 18 months of daily candied walnuts, her cardiologist found increased calcium deposits in her coronary arteries. Her doctor asked a simple question: "What have you added to your diet in the past 2 years?" When Margaret mentioned her daily candied walnuts, her doctor's face changed. He explained what we now know: the sugar and oxidized fats were accelerating the exact arterial damage she hoped to prevent. The reversal. Margaret switched to plain walnuts, just 7 halves daily, eaten raw or lightly toasted without any coating. Within 6 months, her inflammatory markers, specifically IL-6 and TNF-alpha, dropped by 31%. Her endothelial function improved measurably. She described it as feeling a lightness return, better energy, clearer thinking, reduced joint pain. And here's the beautiful part: her arterial calcium score stabilized. The damage stopped progressing. The Right Way, Complete Guide. Buy raw walnut halves in sealed bags. Oxygen exposure degrades their omega-3s. Store them in your refrigerator or freezer to prevent rancidity. Yes, nuts can go bad, and rancid nuts create additional inflammation. Your ideal serving: 7 to 9 walnut halves daily, approximately 1 ounce. Eat them with meals, not as standalone snacks, because the fiber from other foods slows fat absorption and improves nutrient utilization. If you find raw walnuts bitter, try this: soak them in water overnight, then drain and pat dry. This removes some of the tannins that create bitterness while preserving the beneficial fats. You can then toast them lightly in a dry pan for 2 to 3 minutes to bring out a gentle, nutty flavor. No oil, no sugar, no salt needed. The critical timing. Eat walnuts in the morning or early afternoon. The omega-3s support brain function and sustained energy when consumed earlier in the day. Avoid eating them within 3 hours of bedtime, as the high fat content can disrupt sleep quality in some seniors. The combination strategy. Pair walnuts with foods rich in vitamin E and vitamin C, like strawberries, oranges, or bell peppers. These vitamins protect the walnut's omega-3 fats from oxidizing in your digestive system, ensuring you absorb them in their beneficial, anti-inflammatory form. You'll feel the warmth return to your circulation, and here's why scientifically it happens: the alpha-linolenic acid in walnuts converts, partially, to EPA and DHA, the same omega-3s found in fish. These compounds help your blood vessels relax, reduce clotting tendency, and lower overall inflammation. And that's why this isn't just a tip, it's a quiet revolution happening inside your body, one walnut at a time, when done correctly. Let's bring all 5 discoveries together, because understanding how these nuts damage arteries gives you the power to protect your heart intelligently. We've learned that salted cashews flood your bloodstream with sodium, creating arterial pressure and tears. Honey-roasted peanuts spike blood sugar, causing glycation and sticky arterial walls. Macadamia nuts overload calories, triggering inflammatory abdominal fat storage. Brazil nuts deliver toxic selenium levels that calcify and stiffen arteries. Candied walnuts oxidize beneficial fats into arterial attackers. But here's the hopeful truth: raw, properly portioned nuts can still be part of your heart-healthy diet. The timeline of recovery when you make these switches looks like this. Week 1, blood pressure begins stabilizing as sodium and sugar loads decrease. Month 1, inflammatory markers start dropping, you might notice improved energy and reduced joint pain. Month 3, arterial flexibility begins improving, cholesterol ratios shift favorably. Month 6, measurable changes in arterial plaque stability and endothelial function. It's not one change that restores cardiovascular health, it's how these 5 protective strategies support each other. When you remove arterial irritants and replace them with properly prepared nuts in correct portions, your body remembers how to heal. And if you've watched until now, it means you truly care about your health, and that already sets you apart. Most people never question the healthy foods they've eaten for years. But you're here, learning, adapting, and choosing better. One practical suggestion: this week, go through your pantry. Check every container of nuts you own. If they contain added sugar, salt, honey, or chocolate coating, donate them or discard them. Replace them with raw or dry roasted varieties with 0 added ingredients. Start with just one nut type, perhaps raw walnuts if you want omega-3 benefits, or plain almonds if you want vitamin E. Master the correct portion and preparation for that one nut before adding others. In our next video, we'll reveal how a simple bedtime drink can naturally lower cortisol and help seniors sleep deeply without medication, something 73% of viewers told us they desperately need. Every morning gives us one more chance to rebuild our health, gently, wisely, and with the knowledge we need to make better choices. Your arteries have served you faithfully for 6, 7, maybe 8 decades. They deserve your protection now more than ever. And the beautiful thing about what we've discovered today is how simple the changes really are. Read labels carefully, choose raw or plain varieties, measure your portions, and eat nuts as a complement to meals, not as mindless snacks. These aren't sacrifices, they're acts of self-respect. Your body is wiser than you think. It knows how to heal, how to restore flexibility to arterial walls, how to reduce inflammation. It just needs you to stop sending it the wrong signals disguised as healthy choices. Thank you for spending this time with Senior Guide. We're honored to be part of your health journey, and we take that responsibility seriously. That's why every script we create is backed by published research and designed with your well-being in mind. So here's my question for you: which of these 5 nuts surprised you most? And which change will you make first this week? Share in the comments. Your experience might be exactly what another senior needs to hear today. Remember, small changes, when done with heart and consistency, can turn into lifelong healing. See you in the next video, and until then, stay strong, stay curious, and stay young at heart.